Shana Tova again, everybody. I hope that your Yom Kippur is meaningful. I know that if you are looking to be inspired and have the awe and wonder and trembling of God, last night's storms kind of helped. Anybody get to sleep through them? I don't think so. You did? You slept through them? Okay, good. Let me just tell you, awe and trembling. It reminded me when I first got married, Ricky was, it was kind of sad. It was kind of embarrassing at first. He was afraid of thunderstorms. And I'm like, you're a grown man. Why are you afraid of thunderstorms? And then we went to Rome, and oh my gosh, something about the way that the hills are how you're right in the middle of these hills, that there wasn't like a gentle thunder roll. It was like no matter when there was thunder, it was like everything like trembled and you felt it in you. That's what last night was like. That was like what every thunderstorm was like in Italy. And I understand why someone might panic a little bit when there's thunder. So that's something to do also. Experience life from many places, and it puts new awe and holiness into your life. So this morning, we are in Mishkan Tefillah. Remember, does anybody here need to know how to use Mishkan Tefillah again? Everybody here, I think, has been through this, right? So I'm not doing that intro again. Yesterday, here's a secret. It's just us, right? Yesterday, at the beginning of the service, I had to stall because the family that did the candles, apparently, they may not have made it exactly on time. So I stretched out a little bit the introduction. But in the process, I forgot to do something important. So I am going to do, I think, morning service. You're here. And then I do this. I put these here. So remember, one of the things you're supposed to do today is at some point we stop saying Tovah Tikateivu. We start saying Tovah Tikateivu, right? Remember that we have services just about all day. There's childcare if you need childcare, by the way. Please escort your children over there. No one is allowed to be wandering the building. If you are a child or a teen, you're not supposed to be wandering the building without supervision. It's just not a good idea, not safe. We need to know where you are. And I appreciate people who are watching. We had, Max, how many? We had 260 during the service watching last night, but if you click on the service today for last night, there were over 300 already. Last year, we had over 900 people watch the Kol Nidre service. I didn't want to tell you that before, no pressure or anything. It was awesome last night. But so thank you for the Brotherhood, for ushering, for watching over our books. And tomorrow night at 5:30, you're welcome to join them. They're building the sukkah tomorrow night at 5:30. Please stop raining. And they want me to remind you to take your prayer books back when you're finished at the end of the service. Thank you to the Sisterhood for preparing the breakfast after the concluding service. And they also make sure that we do have childcare here. Thank you to our wonderful musicians who make the service so inspiring. It's really awesome. Thanks to Max for the tech support. You know the services today. The next one is we have study at 1:15 in the parlor. We have a service that starts at 2:30 and then, 4 and 4:45-ish, something like that. We're trying to guesstimate better the beginning times. We have memorial books ready for you. You'll get those at the memorial service later. Sukkot starts this Friday night. So we need our sukkah built on Friday at 5:30. You can come and decorate the sukkah, please. And then we'll have a mini service and shake some, what we like to call the lulav shake. And then we'll have harvest dinner. Please make those reservations if you haven't yet. And then the following Friday, which is the first Friday in October, it's the 6th, it's Simchat Shabbat, and it's Simchat Torah. We'll be dancing. We'll be doing some awesome stuff. Remember that we're collecting non-perishable, non-expired food for the food bank till the end of Sukkot. And the thing that I forgot, because it was on the back of the sheet that I read yesterday, is that donations were made to B'nai Zion or for pulpit flowers. We have really beautiful flowers. And I forgot to say that there were many people who contributed to how beautiful the sanctuary is today. Thank you, Colony House. In honor of the members of B'nai Zion Sisterhood, in honor of and grateful for the members of the Sisterhood from Jerry Black, our president. Thank you, Jerry. In loving memory of Ann and Jake Avinsky by Mr. and Mrs. Larry Avinsky and family. In loving memory of Betty and Leonard Phillips, Ruth and Bernard Kallenberg, Fred Phillips and Fred Sklar from the Phillips and Kallenberg families. In loving memory of Esther and Louis Lobel, Frida and Morris Hyman, Alfred Hyman, Ethel Schnitt, Molly Hyman from Dorothy and Bernard Lobel. In loving memory of Marcia and Albert Katzenstein from Ann and Pat Maxey and Karen and Craig Cohen. In loving memory of Ruthie and Neil Neerman, Pauline and Lazar Murov, Ray and Abe Gilbert, Regina Bronig and Evelyn Kern from Helene and Bill Bronig and Jackie and Ron Neerman. In loving memory of Dr. Donald Yale Rosen from Gloria Rosen, Mr. and Mrs. Larry H. Avinsky and family, Drs. Maury and Lane Rosen and family. In loving memory of Ann and Jake Avinsky from Mr. and Mrs. Larry H. Avinsky and family. In loving memory of Marcia and Albert Katzenstein Cohen from Ann and Pat Maxey and Karen and Craig Cohen. And in loving memory of Stephen Muslow from Mary Muslow and family. I hope we got everyone there. One of the worst things that we do, as I mentioned yesterday, as we try to remember people and honor their memories, that's one of the things that feels the worst when it doesn't work. So we try to make sure the lights are on and we try to make sure that we acknowledge all of those. And I'm sorry for missing them last night. The service doesn't exactly begin on 1:32, but if you choose to wear a talit, there are blessings for the talit on 1:32, and there are talises out there. You're welcome to borrow one. If you're not wearing one on page 132, there are also blessings for that. You are welcome to do that. I am going to start, though. We're going to be moving on, but first we're doing something that's not in your book. It has become our tradition to start every day, if you think about it, but certainly our holy days, with this. Hineni muchanu mezuman, hineni muchanu mezuman, hineni muchanu mezuman, hineni muchanu mezuman. I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready. 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 L'kayem mitzvot habori, hineni muchanu mezuman. L'kayem mitzvot habori, hineni muchanu mezuman. To fulfill my Creator's commandment, I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready. To fulfill my Creator's commandment, I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready. Ukadashtem et hayom hazeh, hineni muchanu mezuman. Ukadashtem et hayom hazeh, hineni muchanu mezuman. And you shall make this day a holy day. I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready. You shall make this day a holy day. I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready. We are going to jump around a lot in the morning prayers. We are starting with page 135. And as I mentioned yesterday, there may be times when I'll ask you to read with me, but you're welcome to read or listen whenever you want. Stand or sit, whatever your tradition is. We stand this day, all of us, in the actually, you think we should be standing for this? Hold on, let me see if we're supposed to be standing. Why doesn't it say in here? Did I make you stand before this? Nah, okay, don't stand yet. I stand this day, all of us, in the presence of our God. Youth and elders, women and men, those close to tradition and those who have been estranged, all are welcome in the community of prayer. Around the world, all Israel greets this holy day. We stand with them, a people united by our history and fate, linked in mind and heart to generations past who stood before God to be cleansed of their sins. In Russia, Poland, Germany, and Spain, in Morocco, Egypt, Brazil, and India. Anybody want to mention other places? Where else? Where else are you from? Go, Ava. Ukraine. I was thinking Ukraine. Where else? Italy, we say. Yeah. Do you have another country? Anybody else from other countries? Everywhere. Our great-grandparents are here with us today. You remember them? Our great-great-grandchildren as well. I don't know them. All are present in memory and hope. We stand this sacred morning, all of us as one. That's part of what our Torah portion is going to be about. We're on jump all the way to page 142. So because this prayer book has inspirations that sometimes have us learn, because it's always a good idea to start your day with this blessing, to say that you're going to learn things today. We are commanded to learn things. The bottom of the page, Baruch Atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kedeshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah. Blessed are you, Adonai our God, supreme power of the universe. You sanctify our lives with mitzvot and give us the sacred obligation of learning and living Torah. That's not a very, it's a lovely translation, but the words say, you commanded us, and the word is la'asok, which means like to engage in, to work at, you gotta work at the words of Torah. I like to say Torah is gloriously ambiguous. So it's something that you have to interact with, and it's not saying that here, although learning and living Torah is great. We're going to continue at the bottom of 157. Because once we say that blessing, we're supposed to learn something. Ben Azai used to say, treat no one with scorn, regard nothing as useless, for all people have their moment, and all things have their place. Diamonds, when found in the ground, may look like worthless pieces of glass or rocks. It takes an expert to see the precious gem that is hidden within. Become an expert in human beings. Learn to see each one as a diamond in the rough. Baruch atah Adonai, rofeh chol basar umafli la'asot. Blessed are you, God, who performs the miracles of creation and healing. We continue on page 158. Elohai neshama shenatata bi tehorahi. Just do that. Elohai neshama shenatata bi tehorahi. Do it again. Elohai neshama shenatata bi tehorati. It means pure, my God, is the soul you've given me. And we're going to sing it a few more times. I want you to feel it. I want you to feel all the voices together rumbling in you, and feel your soul. Feel it. Elohai neshama shenatata bi tehorahi. Elohai neshama shenatata bi tehorahi. We're almost there. Elohai neshama shenatata bi tehorahi. Elohai neshama shenatata bi tehorahi. I felt it. Baruch atah Adonai asher biyado nefesh kol chai v'ruach kol b'sar ish. We give you praise, Adonai. All life is in your hand, and in your care, the soul, the neshama of every human being. We start on page 160 with the prayers that are called the Nisim Shebechol Yom, which are the everyday miracles. It is awesome to start your day realizing that there are miracles that you're going to encounter every single day. And we have a few ways that we do this. What we're going to do today is the first 6 words, the top 2 lines, we're going to sing in Hebrew. And then the bottom line we're going to be doing in English. So in other words, the first one, for example, the first 2 lines are the Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, but then we're going to jump to your great power. And that's how it's going to work for each time. We are already saying you are the source of blessings, Adonai, in Hebrew. So we skip that in the English. And you can make up your own melody, but I use this one. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Your great power gave the mind discernment to distinguish light from darkness. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Your great power opens eyes that cannot see. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Your great power brings freedom to the captive. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Your great power lifts up the fallen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Your great power spreads the land over the waters. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Your great power has made all I need. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Your great power gives firmness to our steps. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Your great power clothes the naked. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Your great power gives strength to the weary. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Your great power removes sleep from my eyes and slumber from my eyelids. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Your great power made me in the image of God. You have to take a pause there. How are you looking today? A little weary, but good. I want you to look around. Everybody here is in the image of God. It may not really mean that all of our faces really look like God, but you know how much I love thinking of it like that, because it means that as I'm living in my world and encountering people, each one is showing me a face of God, and it changes my world. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Your great power endowed me with human freedom. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Your great power has made me Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Your great power gives strength to Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Your great power crowns Yisrael with glory. We are skipping to page 173. 173. Okay, let's jump into, let's see if that's true. Yeah, it's true. I just put the wrong paperclip in here. HaMelech Yoshev al Kisei Ram v'Nisa. Majestic God, today enthroned beyond time and space. Shochen Ahad Maharom v'Kadosh Shemo. I used to be able to chant this whole service in Hebrew. You want me to do that? We could do that. Some of you want me to do that. Eternally present, your name is hallowed on high. And the psalmist sang, rejoice in Adonai, you righteous. Let the upright adorn you with praise. Did you know that about me? It's true. We are going to continue on page 176. And remember that you're going to have to stand by the end of this, okay? Pick a spot, wherever you want. Yit gadal v'yit kadash meraba be'alma divra chirute v'yamlich malchute b'chayechon u'yomechon u'v'chay dechol beit Yisrael b'hagala v'zman kariv Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabba Mevarach Le'alam ol Almaya Yitbarach V'yishtabach V'yitpar V'yitromam V'yitnaseh V'yithadar V'yitale V'yithalal Shemei Dikud Shabrichu Leila u'leila milko birchata V'shirata tushbechata V'nechemata Da'amiran behalema V'hi Amen. Page 178. I'm going to let you sit for this part. It's a long time before we get to the Shema. Traditionally, we would only stand for that moment. I'm sorry for your knees. I have to keep standing up and sitting down. So we'll do this in English, the bottom of the page. Praise to you, Adonai our God, whose power fills the cosmos, who opens for us the gates of compassion and lights up the eyes of those who await forgiveness, shaper of light, source of the darkness, maker of peace, creator of all. Infinite light is preserved in life's treasure house. Lights from the darkness, said God, and it was so. In love, you bring light to the earth and its creatures. Your goodness renews the creation each day. Infinite, varied, and rich are your works, divine artist, all of them wrought with wisdom. The whole earth is teeming with life. Awestruck by the universe, work of your hands, let all life bless you, praise you, and celebrate the beauty of your lights. Or chadash ad Zion ta'ir v'nizkechu lanu mehera la'oro. May you shine a new light on Zion, on Zion, and may we soon be privileged to share in that light. Baruch atah Adonai, yotzer ha'me'orot. Our praise to you, Adonai, creator of the cosmic lights. We continue at the top of page 183. You love us by helping us grow. You give us Torah, a ladder for the soul, words that draw us upward, every mitzvah, an invitation to climb. Forge and kiln and crucible to purify our hearts. You give us Torah. You love us by helping us grow. Top of page 185, please. Hineni, behold, I stand ready to listen and learn. Na'aseh v'nishma, to embrace in thought and deed, to proclaim with a whole heart the sacred unity of all being. Page 186, please rise. Long ago, in the courtyard of the temple, on the holy day of Yom Kippur, the high priest proclaimed aloud the sacred name of God, and all the people fell to the ground, prostrated themselves, and called, "Blessed is God's glorious majesty forever and ever." Millennia have passed, but still we speak these words aloud, witnesses forever to the truth of God's dominion. Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed. We chant on 188. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'v'chol nafshecha u'v'chol me'odecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavacha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam b'shivtecha b'veitecha u'v'lechtecha v'aderech u'v'shochbecha u'v'kumecha וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך, ובישעריך. We're doing that in English. You shall love Adonai your God with all your mind, with all your soul, with all your strength. Set these words, which I command you this day, upon your heart. Teach them faithfully to your children. Speak of them in your home and on your way, when you lie down and when you rise up. Bind them as a sign upon your hand. Let them be a symbol before your eyes. Inscribe them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Page 191. למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם. Be mindful of all my mitzvot and do them. Thus you will become holy to your God. I, Adonai, am your God, who brought you out of Egypt to be your God. I, Adonai, am your God. Adonai Elohechem emet. Adonai, your God, is true. And I don't know if I'm letting you sit down yet. No, you can sit. There's probably a place in here, but I don't see it, but that's good. Emet, on page 192. Emet, true and steadfast, is this teaching, beloved and treasured, a source of wonder, a fount of goodness, a thing of beauty, and ours for all time. And true it is, the eternal God is our sovereign, the rock of Jacob, our protecting shield. Through all generations, God's name lives on. God's throne stands firm. God's dominion prevails. God's grandeur and faithfulness endure through eternity. God's words are precious. They will live forever. Turn to page 195 at the top. And they shall know that I, Adonai, am their God, who brought them out of the land of Egypt, that I might abide among them. I, Adonai, their God. You took us out of the darkness, so that your light might dwell among us. You showed us your power to bring down the powerful, uplift the enslaved, transform the social order. You showed us your strength so that we might remember our own. We carry the Exodus vision wherever we go, lest we forget our sense of liberation, lest we lose the joy of breathing free, lest we grow indifferent and blind to others' pain. So long as we work to make you present, we walk the path of freedom. But if we forget to bring you into this world, then we return to the darkness. Rock of Israel, Tzur Yisrael, arise.
Just kidding.
I don't know. Okay, we'll arise. Arise, it's supposed to be time. Kuma, arise, and come to the help of your people Israel. Keep your word by redeeming Judah and Israel. The eternal and infinite one is our Redeemer, our source of holiness. Baruch atah Adonai, Gal Yisrael. Blessed are you in our lives, eternal one, who redeemed Israel. We're on page 198. In the depths of night, by the edge of the river, Jacob was left alone. In heartfelt longing in the temple of God, Hannah uttered her prayer alone. In the barren wilderness, in doubt and despair, Elijah found God alone. In the holiest day, in the Holy of Holies, the high priest entered alone. We are bound to one another in myriad ways, but each soul needs time to itself. In solitude, we meet the solitary one. Silence makes space for the still, small voice. For the psalmist says, deep calls unto deep. From the depths of our soul, we seek what is most profound. Some congregations do the tefillah silently, and then the leader repeats. We're going to do some parts silently, but most will be read or sung. You're welcome to do it all in Hebrew, but I will be doing a lot of the Hebrew and some of the English. We're at the bottom of 198. Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi yagid tehilatecha. Adonai, open my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Page 200. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel v'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. זוכרנו לחיים, מלך חפץ בחיים, וכותבנו בספר החיים, למענך אלוהים חיים, מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. 204. Your life-giving power is forever, Adonai, with us in life and in death. You liberate and save, cause dew to descend, and with mercy abundant, lovingly nurture all life. From life to death, you are the force that flows without end. You support the falling, heal the sick, free the imprisoned and confined. You are faithful even to those who rest in the dust. Power beyond power, from whom salvation springs, sovereign over life and death, who is like you? Merciful God, who compares with you? With tender compassion, you remember all creatures for life. Faithful and true, worthy of our trust, you sustain our mortal yearnings. In you we place our undying hopes. Baruch atah Adonai, Mechayeh HaKol, wellspring of blessing, power eternal. You are the one who gives and renews all life. We are skipping now all the way to page 216. And why don't I have a thing for 216? The blue pages. You want to stay with blue, you can, but I'm skipping to 216. We are mortal. Our origin is dust, and so is our end. We wear out our lives to get our bread. Like broken vessels or withered grass, like a flower that must fade, a shadow moving on, a cloud passing by, mere dust on the wind, a dream that flies away. But for you, ever-living sovereign, time has no limits. Your presence, unbounded by days and years, is everywhere, a glorious mystery none can decipher. Your name is worthy of you, and you are worthy of your name, and our name you have linked with yours. We are on page 218 like angels. When the choir sings, we will be flying like this. We sanctify your name in the world, as celestial song sanctifies you in the realms beyond our world. In the words of your prophet, we're going to say together, Holy, holy, holy is the God of heaven's hosts. The fullness of the whole earth is God's glory. Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzevaot, Melech haaretz kevodo. God of strength, who gives us strength, God of might, who gives us might, how magnificent the signs of your being throughout the earth. Blessed is the splendor that shines forth from the eternal. I might as well get some words right. Sorry. I was so busy watching you. I'm sorry. Thank you for staying on this. Our God is one, Avinu and Malkeinu, sovereign source of life and liberation, revealing with mercy to all who live. I am Adonai, your God. The Eternal shall reign for all time, your God for all generations, Zion, Zion, hallelujah. We will teach your greatness, Ledor Vador, from generation to generation, and to the end of time we will affirm your holiness. Our God, your praise shall ever be on our lips, for your power is boundless, sovereign, and holy. If you'd like, you may be seated. Page 122. Kadosh, that's the big word, Kadosh. And so, in your holiness, give all creation the gift of awe. Turn our fear to reverence. Let us be witnesses of wonder, perceiving all nature as a prayer come alive. We bow to the sovereignty of your strength, the primacy of your power. We yearn for connection with all that lives, doing your will with wholeness of heart. Awe-inspiring is your creation, all-encompassing your transcendent name. Kadosh. And so, in your holiness, give your people the gift of honor, of kavod. Bless with praise those who praise you. Bless with hope those who seek you. Give your believers a basis for faith, true happiness for the land of Israel, true joy in Jerusalem. May the sparks of David, your servant, soon grow bright enough for us to see, a beam of light in the darkness, a promise of perfection. Kadosh. And so in your holiness, give the righteous the gift of a vision bright with joy, a world where evil has no voice, and the rule of malevolence fades like wisps of smoke. Good people everywhere will celebrate the stunning sight of arrogance gone from the earth. You and you alone, Adonai, will reign over creation, upon Mount Zion, home of your presence, and in Jerusalem, a city set apart by you. As the psalmist believed, the Eternal shall reign for all time, your God for all generations, Zion, hallelujah. You are holy, your name is holy. There is nothing divine beyond you. As the prophet Isaiah taught, the source of all might is exalted through justice, the God of holiness made holy through righteousness. Baruch atah Adonai, HaMelech HaKadosh. Blessed are you, Adonai, holy sovereign. You chose us with love to be messengers of mitzvot, and through us you made known your aspirations. Among all the many peoples, you gave us a pathway to holiness. Among all the great nations, you uplifted us and made yourself our sovereign. And so we seek you and serve you and celebrate our nearness to your presence. Your great and sacred name has become our calling. Vatiten lanu Adonai Eloheinu ba'ahava et Yom HaKippurim hazeh limchila v'lislicha v'lechapara v'limchol bo et kol avonotenu mikra kodesh zecher litziat Mitzrayim. In your love, eternal our God, you have given us this Yom Kippur, a day on which our wrongs are forgiven, a day of sacred assembly, a day to be mindful of our people's going out from Egypt. Our God and God of the generations before us, may a memory of us ascend and come before you. May it be heard and seen by you. winning your favor and reaching your awareness, together with the memory of our ancestors, the memory of your sacred city, Jerusalem, and the memory of your people, the family of Israel. May we be remembered for safety, well-being, and favor, for love and compassion, for life and for peace on this day of atonement. Page 233. Zochrenu Adonai Eloheinu bo letovah, eternal our God, remember us. Ufogdenu vo livracha, be mindful of us. V'hoshienu vo lechayim, for a life of goodness and blessing. Favor us with words of deliverance and mercy. Show us the depth of your care. God, we await your redemption, for you reign with grace and compassion. Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, machal lavonatenu, b'yom HaKippurim hazeh, our God and God of our forebears, pardon our failings on this day of atonement. Ease our misdeeds. See beyond our defiance. The top of 235. It is not easy to forgive God. It takes huge effort. It is painful, contradictory, and maddening. The human suffering that surrounds us feels utterly unforgivable. But I will forgive God because I do not want to write off the relationship, because I feel there's too much to be lost by simply walking away, because I want my children to develop their own relationships and come to their own conclusions. Because, despite the pain, sorrow, and suffering, I want my universe full of miracles, not void of them. Because I do not want to be one more angry old cynic in the world. I want to believe a voice still calls out from Sinai, from heaven. That is why I will forgive God. I want to engage in the eternal conversations with the ancestors and sages. Despite it all, I want to live my life in praise and awe, in wonder and hope, even if I'm wrong, even if at the end there's nothing but darkness. A teaching of the Baal Shem Tov. Your fellow human being is a mirror for you. If there is love and compassion in your soul, you will see the goodness in others. If you see a blemish in another, it is your own imperfections you're encountering. Take careful note of the flaws you perceive in others. This is a lesson for you. They are your own flaws set before you, a reminder of your own spiritual work. We continue on 236. Please join me in the English. God, who is ours, and God of our fathers and mothers, lead us to holiness through your mitzvot, and may each of us find a portion of Torah that is ours. You bestow such goodness. Teach us to be satisfied and to know the joy of your salvation. At the top of 237, together. Help us to serve you truly with purity of heart, for you are the forgiver of Israel, in every generation granting pardon to the tribes of Yeshurun. We have no God of forgiveness and pardon, but you alone. You are blessed, Adonai, sovereign who forgives our failings and pardons the failings of your people, the house of Israel. You banish our guilt from year to year. You reign in majesty over all the earth. You sanctify the people Israel and the day of atonement. Eternal our God, your people Israel yearns for your favor. Receive their prayer with loving acceptance, and may you always desire your people's worship. Divine One, close to all who call upon you, bring your grace and presence near to those who serve you. Pour forth your Spirit on us, and may our eyes see your merciful return to Zion. Baruch atah Adonai, hamachzir shechinato leTzion. Blessed are you whose divine presence is felt again in Zion. Page 240. Please join me. God who is ours, God of all generations, to you we are grateful forever. Rock and protector of our lives, your saving power endures from age to age. We thank you and tell the tale of your praise, your power in our lives, your caring for our souls, the constant miracle of your kindness. Morning, noon, and night, we call you goodness, for your compassion never ends. We call you mercy, for your love has no limit. We call you hope, now and for all time. And for all these gifts, God of mercy, may your name come to be blessed and praised, our gratitude a daily offering until the end of time. Inscribe your covenant partners for a life of goodness, and may all life resound with gratitude and faith in praise of your name. God, you free us and strengthen us. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha u'lecha na'el lehodot. Blessed are you, Adonai, whose goodness deserves thanks and praise. We're skipping 243, but I want you to just for a moment see the title on that page, Tiny Joys. Just get a glimpse of tiny joys and move on. Page 244. Our God, divine presence whose path our ancestors walked, bless us now with words first bestowed on Israel in the time of Moses and Aaron, the threefold blessing given us through Torah that joins our hopes with theirs. Protect you. Ken Yehi Ratzon. May you receive the light of God's kindness and grace. May it be Ken Yehi Ratzon. May God bestow favor upon you and give you peace. Ken Yehi Ratzon. We continue on 246. We're going to read this prayer first in English. There are added things that I'd like you to hear before we sing it. This prayer of peace. Let there be peace. Grant goodness, blessing, and grace, constancy and compassion to us and all Israel, your people. Avinu, bless and unite all human beings in the light of your presence, for your light has shown us a holy path for living, devotion to love, generosity, blessedness, mercy, life, and peace. In your goodness, bless your people Israel with peace at all times. Let us and the whole family of Israel be remembered and inscribed in the book of life. May it be a life of goodness, blessing, and prosperity. May it be a life of peace. Baruch atah Adonai, oseh hashalom. You are the blessed one, eternal, source of shalom. We now continue with the prayers in your hearts. On page 248 is the traditional prayer that we say as a silent prayer if you need inspiration, but you can choose any of these readings and inspirations. We're going to meet again on page 250 after our silent prayer. Yehiu liratzon.
May the words of my mouth now.
Imre fi vehegyon libi.
And the meditation of my heart.
Lefanecha.
Be acceptable to you.
Lefanecha.
Be acceptable to you.
Adonai Tzuri.
Adonai, my rock.
Tzuri v'goali.
My rock and my redeemer.
Adonai Tzuri
Adonai, my rock
v'goali.
and redeemer.
It was a better key.
That was much better.
I told him when I started, I always go on my tippy toes, so I hit the higher note, and it didn't work last night. We also decided we were closing our eyes because I don't think that Soul of Eternity fits in that melody. So I said, just close your eyes. We didn't practice it. We just do it the way we always do it. My book has a sermon tag in here. And I've been asking you this for a while. What are your memories of Yom Kippur from years ago? I mean, are you sitting here with somebody else right now? The people who've gone before you. Are you sitting here and you're this big? Or this big? What are your memories? I remember going to my mom's shul. I don't know why we called it Grandma's shul, because Grandpa was around, but we always called it Grandma's shul. We always called it Grandma's house. And we would drive to Brooklyn to get to their house early enough to walk to services. Everyone in the whole neighborhood was walking to services. Although if you want to see what neighborhood it was in Brooklyn, you have to watch the Godfather movie, because there's a scene that they filmed at somebody's house. I don't know, I haven't seen it in a long time. And you could see my grandparents' house right behind their house. So one block is all Italian and one block was all Jewish. But it was a mixture of a variety of kinds of Jews. But we saw all of these people, everybody we saw, were walking in white, lovely outfits, but wearing white sneakers. We went to an Ashkenazic shul. The whole family would go with us. Grandma had 2 sisters, and they didn't live far from her, so everyone gathered at their patriarch house, and we all walked together, and we wound up at shul. I remember sitting next to great-grandma Lieberman. I remember holding her hand during services. She passed away, Zechrona Livracha, when I was in 2nd grade. I remember. It was what we like to call a conservadox shul. They did let men and women sit together. They started that shortly before I was born. They were supposedly officially counting women in the minyan, but they always made sure that there was only a minyan of men. The whole service was chanted in Hebrew. I was so proud when I could finally find my place in the Hebrew. If you've ever been to one of those shuls, the service sounds like this. It sounds like you're at an auction or something. And if you ever did that Evelyn Wood speed reading thing where you just kind of go, you still couldn't keep up with them. We tried. Fast forward to late elementary school and junior high. Our family moved from an apartment to a house. We had our own house. So we joined a synagogue. My parents did what we called shul shopping, and they chose a Reform congregation. The Yom Kippur services were so packed that they had to rent out a place like the convention center. I'm not exaggerating. It was huge, and even that was not big enough to hold the congregation. They had to have services for the High Holy Days, 2 services. So they had I think it was like a 6 o'clock service and an 8 o'clock service. If your last name started in the first half of the alphabet, then you went, let's say, to the 6 o'clock service. And if it started in the last half of the alphabet, you went to the late service. And the following year, they would swap. You had to have tickets to get in. And they always made pleas. Every single service, there was a plea for tzedakah, for money. Did you have that here? Did you ever have that where every single service had a plea for money? One big service was always the president of the shul making a plea to give money to the shul, and the other one was from what we called in those days the UJA, the United Jewish Appeal, which is now the Federation, but it was for the UJA and it was for Israel every year, and they would tell us what was going on, and they would make us want to cry, and then we would give. My bat mitzvah service was March 9th, 1973. I turned 13 March 3rd, 1973, but we had to wait till March 9th. My sister's birthday is March 8th. She turned 2 on March 8th. And at that synagogue, you weren't allowed in services if you were under 2 years old. So we had to wait for her to be 2 so she could come to my bat mitzvah. So I waited a week. You may not know this about me, but I really loved Hebrew. I really loved services. I really loved being Jewish. I really loved Israel. I had not been to Israel, but I knew in my heart that it was my homeland. I obviously also loved being a patriotic American, but my heart was filled with love for Israel. I was 7 when the Six-Day War was fought, and I remember everyone being proud. How could such a small country defeat all the countries that attacked us? Well, we were clever and brave. And we turned the Wailing Wall, where we cried because we didn't have access to it, we turned it into the Western Wall again. It was our holiest place on earth, and we could pray there again. We could touch it. Have you touched the Western Wall? These stones came from the same quarry as the Western Wall in Israel, in Jerusalem. But the Western Wall in Israel, when I touched it, the stones were smooth like glass from 2,000 years of wind and rain and touching. Smooth. Only a few months after my bat mitzvah service was the Yom Kippur War. A few weeks ago, when the religious school teachers were talking about their backgrounds, I said I started teaching Hebrew and music shortly after my bat mitzvah, which must be, 40-something years ago. It does not require a math genius to realize that 1973 to 2023 is 50 years since my bat mitzvah. Today, we also commemorate 50 years since the Yom Kippur War. How many people remember that war? How many people remember? What do you remember about the war? I remember being shocked that they would attack us on the holiest day of the year. I'm still shocked. I remember how proud we were of Golda Meir and Moshe Dayan. They were our heroes. My mom was very active with the local UJA, and she helped organize a walkathon for Israel. All the money went to the emergency fund, the Israel Emergency Fund, directly to Israel. It didn't go to any other UJA project. I was 13, I was part of the junior youth group in those days. I helped organize the youth part of the walkathon, made sure that all of the Jewish youth in the county, in Rockland County, knew about it. The walkathon was 20 miles long. We were supposed to go around and ask for donations, so for every mile, people would give something. I went to all my teachers, and most of them would say, yes, I'll give you 10 cents per mile. If you walk all the 20 miles, that would be $4. I did walk the full 20 miles, and we raised a lot of money for Israel. I remember my mom had the brilliant idea to call the cars and trucks that drove slowly along the route in case anyone needed help. Somebody's foot hurt too much, you needed a Band-Aid. There were these cars and trucks that drove around. And she put signs on the side that said, tow trucks, T-O-E, tow trucks. She always had a way with words. She eventually became the editor of the UJA newspaper, one of the biggest Jewish newspapers in the country, but that's another story. One of the lessons I remember about the war was that we were taught how Israel was careful about not divulging too many details about what was happening in the war. They wouldn't report that a certain neighborhood would be hit, for example, and would never say that a certain building was hit. If your enemy is aiming for a specific building and misses, and you announce what was hit, all they have to do is readjust their aim. I guess it was the equivalent of loose lips sink ships. It was that kind of a strategy. Now, It's impossible to keep those kinds of details from everyone knowing. There would be immediate news and social media postings. The world has changed. I was very surprised to learn that even the attitudes about Yom Kippur have changed. My heart hurts to see the variety of biased versions there are about the war. I was never great at history. I was never good at remembering names or dates about what happened. You know that quote about not remembering what someone said or did, but always remembering how it made you feel? That may be a good way to explain how I feel and remember Yom Kippur and the Yom Kippur War. I remember that we survived another attack. I remember that we came up with clever strategies, we were brave, and we won. If you look up the Yom Kippur War, do a Google search, you will obviously find first a Wikipedia article. It starts with this, I'm quoting. The Yom Kippur War, I hope you're sitting down. The Yom Kippur War, also known as the Ramadan War. Did you ever hear that? What? It's also known as the October War. It's also known as the 1973 Arab-Israeli War, or the Fourth Arab-Israeli War. It was an armed conflict fought from October 6th through 25th, 1973, between Israel and a coalition of Arab states led by Egypt and Syria. The majority of combat between the two sides took place in the Sinai Peninsula and the Golan Heights, both of which were occupied by Israel in 1967. I remember when we were taking back our land, with some fighting in African Egypt and northern Israel. Egypt's initial objective in the war was to seize a foothold on the eastern bank of the Suez Canal and subsequently leverage these gains to negotiate return of the rest of the Israeli-occupied Sinai Peninsula. The war, this is still Wikipedia, the war began on October 6, 1973, when the Arab coalition jointly launched a surprise attack against Israel on the Jewish holy day of Yom Kippur, which had occurred during the 10th of the Islamic holy month of Ramadan in that year. Following the outbreak of hostilities, both the United States and the Soviet Union initiated massive resupply efforts to their respective allies during the war, which led to a confrontation between the two nuclear-armed superpowers. When I read just that much, by the way, the article is so long that there's a disclaimer at the top that says the article doesn't format correctly if you want to blah, 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 whatever it was. I don't know. I was stuck on the description. First of all, the Ramadan War? Did you know that's what it was called? The Ramadan War. Second of all, I don't feel like the description explains sufficiently that Egypt and Syria attacked Israel on the holiest day of our year. It just says that there was combat between them. So I searched again. The next biggest description was from a website called Britannica, which obviously is the website for the Encyclopedia Britannica. It said much of the same thing, but I think it more clearly reflected what I remembered actually happening, more or less. Some of this will repeat. It says, the Yom Kippur War, also called the October War, the Ramadan War, at least now it's the third name, it's not the second, the Arab-Israeli War of October 1973, or the Fourth Arab-Israeli War. Fourth of the Arab-Israeli Wars, which was initiated by Egypt and Syria on October 6, 1973, on the Jewish holy day of Yom Kippur. That made me feel better. That came first. It also occurred during Ramadan, which I am going to be honest with you, I really didn't remember until I read this. The sacred month of fasting in Islam, and it lasted until October 26, 1973. The war, which eventually drew both the United States and the Soviet Union into indirect confrontation in defense of their respective allies, was launched with the diplomatic aim of persuading a chastened, if still undefeated, Israel to negotiate on terms more favorable to the Arab countries. If you search more about the war, you'll find out that Egypt does commemorate their victory. Egypt commemorates a victory over Israel in what they usually call the October War or the Ramadan War. They still have parades and celebrations as part of their victory. That part doesn't surprise me much. What does surprise me is that now most Israelis were disappointed about the war. In America, at least according to the memory of a 13-and-a-half-year-old Jewish woman, we were proud of our victory. A few days ago, the Jerusalem Post's article about the 50th anniversary of the way said, the Egyptians celebrate this military conflict where they lost thousands as a victory, while Israelis, who miraculously turned the tide, see it as a catastrophe. I wasn't planning to talk about the Yom Kippur War today until I saw that. In Israel, instead of focusing on the outcome, the historians say that the Israelis focus on the beginning of the war. They were very disappointed that we did not expect the attack. There are a number of things that disappoint the Israelis about the leadership, even challenging my heroes, Golda and Dayan. Obviously, the worst memory and disappointment is not strong enough to describe how devastated they were about the loss of lives. We lost 2,689 soldiers. 7,251 were injured. 294 prisoners of war had been captured by the enemies. All this in a country which, at the time, had a population of 3.3 million. I remember when we had Yom HaZikaron, Israel Memorial Day, which comes just before Yom Ha'atzmaut, Independence Day, and I was told every family was touched by a loss, or every family was touched by hurt. This war contributed a lot to every family feeling loss. There was another article in the Jerusalem Post which reflects more what I remember. I'm quoting, "The many acts of heroism during the war in the face of enemy fire are a source of inspiration for us." This was said by the Israeli Defense Force, the IDF Chief of Staff, current, Herzi Halevi, and he wrote, "Within a short period of time, the Egyptian forces established themselves on the eastern side of the Suez Canal, and the Syrians were overlooking the Kinneret." Halevi continued, "At the end of about 3 weeks of bloody battles, the IDF, the Israeli Defense Force, managed to stop the larger enemy forces, transfer the fighting to the enemy's territory, and defeat them. The war, which started by surprise, ended when the IDF threatened the capitals of Egypt and Syria and imposed a ceasefire on them." The variety of memories about the war make me think about the varieties about how people feel about everything important these days. I'd like to think that it could be a blessing that we get news faster. I certainly think that it is a blessing that Israel has significantly better ways of anticipating attacks now. But the way social media and other media are throwing so many commentaries at us, I don't know what to think anymore. I honestly used to believe the news presented us with facts. They let us know when it was an opinion. And usually opinion was a reasonable summation or suggestion or evaluation of the facts. Now, each person's opinions get posted and our brains are bombarded by so much that we sometimes can't tell what's fact anymore. I remember when COVID started to spread. It wasn't even yet declared a pandemic. I remember that a very reliable source quoted their sister who works in the medical field, and the theory about avoiding getting sick was to drink plenty of fluids, to dilute the germs, because they were attacking us by way of our digestive system. That was what they thought. I believed it. I shared that fact on the radio that day. Oy. So what do we know? How can we be sure about the things we know? I don't want to sound old-fashioned, but, well, my bat mitzvah was 50 years ago, so I guess I qualify. What can we rely on? I still love Torah. Even if we just take a small amount of Torah, like today's readings, we learn we need to stand together, from the youngest to the oldest, from the richest to the poorest. It doesn't say we have to agree. However, we are all in this together for all time. The Torah portions say that we need to make good choices. My favorite place to find guidance and encouragement about how to make good choices, Torah. By Torah, I mean all of Jewish guidance, Torah, Talmud, liturgy, commentary. And I want to remind you that our Torah portion today talks about how important the land of Israel is to us. It is our inheritance. We need to care about the history of Israel. We need to appreciate all of the great things that come from the modern state. When I was younger, when I was around a teenager, one of the things I did was I made this sign. It was like I think you could make your own keychain. I don't know what it was. I never used it as a keychain. It was big. It was about this big. It was a disc. And I wrote in it, I did my best Hebrew calligraphy at the time. I wrote, Bishvili nivra ha'olam. The Talmud teaches us you're supposed to always have those words on your lips. Bishvili nivra ha'olam. For my sake was the world created. Think about it. You're supposed to always have this on your lips. For my sake was the world created. I was a teenager when I discovered how important that phrase was. I loved it. But it didn't mean that I get to do whatever I want. The same teaching says, and in your pocket, you're always supposed to have something that says, from dust did I come and to dust do I return. So it made me think a lot. And as a teenager, what I realized was, when I was born, the world started for me. And if I walk this way and you walk that way, the world stays with me. I have to try to understand these facts the best that I can. But I also realized when I was a teenager and we were having all these cool philosophical conversations, and one of them was always, what do you think the meaning of life is? And we would talk about it forever. And I said, I don't know. What if there is no meaning to life? I think the fact that we each exist here and we each come in contact with each other is what gives life meaning. And so I say, Bishvili nivra ha'olam, for my sake was the world created. I am going to appreciate everything that I have in the world. I'm going to try my best to understand the world the way I can. But I also need to interact with you. Just like the fact that there are a variety of ways to remember the Yom Kippur War, there are a variety of ways to have a relationship with the Torah, and there are a variety of ways to have a relationship with Israel. There are things that are happening in Israel right now that disappoint me a lot. I wouldn't be able to officiate a wedding or many other Jewish rites. There are still many people who are trying to keep women from worshiping at our holiest site. I would love for us to find a way to have peace with all of our neighbors. So what have we learned so far? Israel is our homeland. We need to find ways to support it. We need to find ways to stand together. We need to honor memories. We need to find ways to share the memories we have. We need to find ways to be better and fulfill our goals. We need to remember to forgive. We need to find ways to make good choices. We need to find ways to be holy. Today we know that Jews all over the world are striving for all these things. Let us do, na'aseh. Let us listen, v'nishma. Shofar is coming soon. May we all be sealed for a good year. My Machzor says, we continue on page 252, and I need my ark openers. Is she nearby? She's right here? She's all the way down the hall? Our ark opener. She was here until a moment ago. Wait, no, not yet. No. So I will tell you something about this prayer on page 252. I remember talking to Rabbi Chaim Stern of Zichrono Livracha, who was the guy who edited the prayer books that we had been using, the red Machzor, the Gates of Repentance, and the Gates of Prayer, and he was trying to be gender sensitive. And in that sense, in his time, predominantly that just meant not always referring to God as he. But he said, what am I supposed to do with Avinu Malkeinu? Av means father. Melech means king. Those are both intrinsically masculine male words. That's been the tradition for thousands of years now, to say, call God Avinu Malkeinu, our Father, the wait till your father gets home kind of father, or our Father, to sit at the table and say, here's some milk and cookies, tell me about your day. And Malkeinu, our King. It's supposed to be the king on the throne. And he said, what am I supposed to say? I'm, my father, my queen, I'm not sure what to do. This is how we do it. We say it in Hebrew, and we say this, we say Almighty and Merciful. We turn to page 252, and as the ark is open, please rise. Thank you. Breathe. Keep pulling, that one sticks. We're going to do this responsively. You're welcome to join me in Hebrew if you want, but we're going to do the Hebrew and the English. Avinu Malkeinu Shema Kolenu. Avinu Malkeinu, Almighty and Merciful. Hear our voice. You're going to have to come look at the words, I guess. Ready? Avinu Malkeinu Chatanu Lefanecha. Avinu Malkeinu, we have strayed and sinned before you. Avinu Malkeinu Chamol Aleinu Va'al Olaleinu V'tapenu. Avinu Malkeinu, compassion on us and on our families. Avinu Malkeinu, Kale Dever V'cherev V'ra'av Me'aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, halt the onslaught of sickness, violence, and hunger. Avinu Malkeinu, Kale Kol Tsar U'mastin Me'aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, halt the reign of those who cause pain and terror. Avinu Malkeinu, Kodvenu B'Sefer Chayim Tovim. Avinu Malkeinu, enter our names in the book of lives well lived. Avinu Malkeinu, Chadesh Aleinu Shana Tova. Avinu Malkeinu, renew for us a year of goodness. Avinu Malkeinu, Malei Adenu Mi Berchotecha. Avinu Malkeinu, let our hands overflow with your blessings. Avinu Malkeinu, Harem Keren Mishichecha. Avinu Malkeinu, let our eyes behold the dawn of redemption. Avinu Malkeinu, Na'al Tashivenu Rekam Milfanecha. Avinu Malkeinu, we pray, do not turn us away from you with nothing. Avinu Malkeinu, Kabel Barachamim Uvratzon Et Tfilatenu. Avinu Malkeinu, welcome our prayer with love, accept and embrace it. Avinu Malkeinu, Aseh Imanu Lema'an Shemecha. Avinu Malkeinu, act toward us as befits your name. Avinu Malkeinu, Aseh Lema'ancha Imlo Lema'anenu. Avinu Malkeinu, for your sake, if not for ours. Avinu Malkeinu, En Lanu Melech El Ata. Avinu Malkeinu, you alone are our sovereign. Avinu Malkeinu, Patach Sha'arei Shamayim Litfilatenu. Avinu Malkeinu, let the gates of heaven be opened to our prayer. Avinu Malkeinu, Shema Kolenu, Chus V'rachem Aleinu. Avinu Malkeinu, hear our voice, treat us with tender compassion. Avinu Malkeinu, Chonenu V'anenu, Ki en banu ma'asim. Aseh imanu tzedakah v'chesed v'hoshienu. Avinu Malkeinu, Almighty and Merciful, answer us with grace, for our deeds are wanting. Save us through acts of justice and love. We continue, and you need to remain standing on page 255 for our Torah service.
Ve'en kema'asecha
Adonai, Adonai, el rachum v'chanun, erech apayim v'rav chesed ve'emet, notzer chesed la'alafim, noser avon v'fesha v'chata v'nakeh. Adonai, Adonai, God, compassionate, gracious, endlessly patient, loving and true, showing mercy to the 1,000th generation, forgiving evil, defiance, and wrongdoing, granting pardon. Gadlu l'Adonai iti, uneromu Hashemo yachtav. Exalt the Eternal with me. Let us extol God's name together. So if you turn for a moment to page 265, there's a commentary that I wanted to share with you. I have put before you life and death, blessing and curse. Choose life if you and your offspring will live. Rabbi Eliezer Davidovitz asked the obvious question, is there a person who would choose death? What kind of choice is really being offered here? Wouldn't everyone prefer life to death? Blessing to curse? Here is his insight. There are two ways to choose life. The first way is the I way. If we want, we can choose to think of ourselves first. We can worry about our needs and our desires and our wishes, and only later will we consider the needs, desires, and wishes of others. But there's another way to choose life, another way to live our lives. This is the you way. Before we act, before we decide, before we speak, we can choose to think about how our actions, decisions, and words will affect others. We can think about how our behavior will affect future generations, including our own children and grandchildren. A real choice is in fact being offered. Do we live in a way that supports life in the broadest sense, or do we live in a way that serves only ourselves, only our own narrow interests? This narrow way, this second choice, ultimately leads not to life, but to death. That's what I meant by Judaism being a caring religion. That's what I meant by when we interact with others, that's what gives our life meaning. All right, I've got a big version. You want the big version? Who wants to read Torah? Nobody? I need somebody else to do this for next year, okay? All right. You want the big book or you want your little book? Here, hold this for a sec. You were going to be my gabbai. You want to use this one? All right. Let's take this here. Put this right here for a sec. Stay. Okay, good. Close. We're going to have to do a lot of rolling on this one. Before we do that, I should let you know that we will be skipping sections in the center. We are still using the reading that was being used in the previous Machzor, and they cut out a really big chunk in the middle. So you'll see we go from the top of the right-hand page of the translation, which is page, we got it, top of page, I don't know, what pages are you on for the Torah? 266 to 268, the Hebrew and the English, 266 to 268, it's right here. So we're going to take the top of the right-hand page, skip the whole bottom and the top of the next page, and go to the bottom of the other page. So you want to come over, which side would you like to be? Here, come on over here. That's your first word. And this is your Torah. Hold on to it.
Okay.
There you go.
Baruch
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Lilam V'ed, Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Olam, Asher Bachar Bona Mikoch Amen, V'notan Lanu Es Toraso, Baruch Atah Adonai,
Shema.
Noten HaTorah.
Amen. All right, you hold that. We're going to try to keep 3. I'm putting your book down here. Don't forget. Yeah, don't forget. We're going to forget it.
Echad.
No, I read it. You know, are you going to read it? Go. That's it. You go for it. Oh my gosh, that was
You were
exciting.
pointing.
That was exciting. I'll try. Atem nitzavim hayom kolchem lifnei Adonai Elohechem, rashechem, shivtechem, ziknechem, v'shotrechem, kol ish Yisrael, tapchem, nishechem, v'gercha asher b'kerev machanecha, mechotev etzecha, ad shoev memecha, לעברך בברית אדוני אלוהיך ובעלתו אשר אדוני אלוהיך כורת עמך היום, למען הקים אותך היום לא לעם, והוא יהיה לך לאלוהים כאשר דיבר לך וכאשר נשבע לאבותיך, לאברהם, ליצחק וליעקב. ולא איתכם לבדכם אנוכי כורת את הברית הזאת ואת העולה הזאת, כי את אשר ישנו פה עמנו עומד היום לפני אדוני אלוהינו, ואת אשר איננו פה עמנו היום. And then we jump all the way to ki ha-mitzvah, because the commandment. So let me see, we're going to roll this so that this is our center again. There's a tradition that you keep the pillar that you're reading in the middle, and there's a pillar on the right and a pillar on the left. We got a couple pillars for today. Ki ha-mitzvah hazot asher anochi mitzavach hayom לא נפלאתי ממך ולא רחוקה היא, לא בשמיים היא לאמור, מי יעלה לנו השמיימה ויקחיה לנו וישמיענו אותה ונעשנה, ולא מעבר לים הוא לאמור, מי יעבור לנו אל עבר הים ויקחיה לנו וישמיענו אותה ונעשנה. כי קרוב אליך הדבר מאוד בפיך ובלבביך לעשותו. ראה, נתתי לפניך היום את החיים ואת הטוב ואת המוות ואת הרע, אשר אנוכי מצווך היום לאהבה את אדוני אלוהיך, ללכת בדרכיו ולשמור מצוותיו וחוקותיו ומשפטיו, וחיית ורבית וברכך אדוני אלוהיך בארץ אשר אתה בא שמה לרשתה, ואם יפנה לבבך ולא תשמע ונידחת והשתחווית לאלוהים אחרים, I don't even want to say it, let alone do it, ועובדם הגדתי לכם היום, כי עובד תעבדון, לא תאריכון ימים על האדמה אשר אתה עובר את הירדן לבוא שמה לרשתה. העדותי בכם היום את השמיים ואת הארץ, החיים והמוות נתתי לפניך, הברכה והקללה, ובחרת בחיים, למען תחיה אתה וזרעך, לאהבה את אדוני אלוהיך, לשמוע בקולו ולדבק בו, כי הוא חייך ואורך ימיך, לשבות על הארץ אשר נשבע אדוני לאבותיך, לאברהם, ליצחק וליעקב, לתת להם. Goes up and you gotta hold on. Hold tight. Yep, Baruch Atah.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Olam, Asher Natan Lanu Torah Semes V'Chaye Olam Notan B'Sochenu, Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. All right, you want to hear what we just said? You understood it, right? This one, hold. I got to put this over here. You can use the big one, right?
You stand this day, all of you, in the presence of Adonai your God, your tribal heads, elders, and officials, every man, woman, and child of Israel, and the stranger in the midst of your camp, from the one who cuts your wood to the one who draws your water, to enter into the covenant of Adonai your God and the oath of that Adonai your God makes with you this day, to establish you as God's people and to be your God, as promised to you and sworn to your ancestors Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And not with you alone do I make this covenant and this oath, but with each one who stands here among this day in the presence of Adonai our God, and with each one who is not here among us this day. For this mitzvah, which I command you this day, is neither beyond you nor far away. It is not in heaven, causing you to say, who will go up to heaven on our behalf? Get it for us, and let us hear it, that we may do it. And it is not across the sea, causing you to say, who will cross the sea on our behalf? Get it for us, and let us hear it, that we may do it. No, this is so very near to you, in your mouth and in your heart, that you can surely do it. Behold, this day I place before you life and well-being, death and hardship. In that I command you this day to love Adonai and walk in the ways of your God, to observe the mitzvot, laws, and judgments, so you may live and flourish, blessed by Adonai your God in the land that is about to be yours. But if you turn away, refusing to listen, and going astray, bow down to other gods and serve them, I tell you now, you will perish. Yes, you will perish, and you will not last long in the land you are crossing the Jordan to possess. This day I call heaven and earth to witness regarding you, life and death I have set before you, blessing you and curse. Choose life, so that you and your children may live, by loving, obeying, and staying close to Adonai your God. For God gives you life and length of days to dwell upon the land that Adonai swore to your ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
Okay, I don't need my Torah crew yet. Thank you very, very much. Shana Tova. Yashikoach to you.
I'd be more than happy to.
Next year? All right. He just made a promise on Yom Kippur that he would be happy to do the Hebrew. And I thought he was going to be, I said, hey, could you also be my gabbai? I thought he was going to be looking at the Hebrew with the vowels, and he was following everything without the vowels. I think he's about ready. So when this is a moment that is one of the holiest moments of the year, and when the Torah is out, it's considered even holier. So there are prayers that we say now while the Torah is still out. You'll notice, by the way, that I cover it kind of like when you cover the challah, because we're not doing Torah blessings, so I cover this so that it's not embarrassed, or it knows we still respect it. But we turn to page 271. Mishaberach avotenu v'imotenu, Avraham, Yitzchak, v'Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, v'Leah, hu yivarech v'yirapeh et hacholim. May the one who brought blessings to our fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and to our mothers, Sarah, Rebekah, Rachel, and Leah, bring the blessing of health to those who are ill. If you have names for people for whom you would like to say blessings for healing, you're welcome to call them out. I'm going to start with Shendel Bat Privala. For all these names, for the names we choose to hold in our hearts, may the Holy One, blessed source of life and healing, sustain and strengthen them with compassion, and restore them to full health without delay. For all who struggle against illness, let renewal of spirit and renewal of body come soon. And together we say, we continue on page 270, wait. Sorry, there were supposed to be more of these. Where are my notes? 260, I skipped a page. I lost it. So page 260 is the preparation for Birkat HaGomel. Birkat HaGomel is a blessing that you say for someone who survived something dangerous. We have all now survived the pandemic, and so, but maybe people have other things they've survived, but I think it's appropriate. A teaching of our sages in the presence of the sacred scroll, we give thanks for the blessings in our lives. Rav Yehuda said in the name of Rav, who should offer thanksgiving? Those who have completed an arduous voyage, those who have recovered from an illness or injury, and prisoners who have been set free. Anybody fit any of those categories? I think so. In the midst of the congregation, we honor those who have come through times of challenge, difficulty, or danger. Today, we celebrate their survival. Together, we give thanks for the resilience of the body, for the strength of the human spirit, for the precious gift of life, experienced with new intensity when life has been at risk. So, anyone who feels that they, this is fun. All right, everybody clear your throat for me. Anybody have a sip? Just kidding. I'm going to suggest everybody says the one for the individual. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hagomel lechavim tovim, shegam lanu kol tov, in English. Blessed are you, our God, eternal. Your majesty fills the universe. Through your generosity, I have experienced your goodness, and we're going to answer for each other. Amen. And we're going to say, Misha gam lecha tov, kol tov. Oh no, we're going to say, we're going to just say, may the source of goodness bring you goodness at all times. Say that again. May the source of goodness bring you goodness at all times. So we called everybody, that's why. And then page 262, we have a number of people who we read about how our spirits get higher, our lives are looking upward. That's called an aliyah. That means you're going higher. In Jewish tradition, we're always looking higher. So, and it's always a spiritual higher. So this is for everyone who in this service got some honor. Mishaberach avotenu ve'imotenu. May the one who brought blessings to Abraham and Sarah, to Isaac and Rebekah, to Jacob, Rachel, and Leah, bring blessings to everyone who has had a Torah honor today, who rises today to honor God, and Torah, and the day of remembrance, the blessing of safety and protection in time of trouble, the blessing of comfort and healing in time of illness, the blessing of success and fulfillment in all endeavors. On this day of remembrance, inscribe and seal them and all Israel for a life of goodness. And together we say, you know, in some congregations, you have to make a donation in order to get a Torah honor. It's the highest honor you can get. And so the person who pays the most gets the highest honors. We don't do that here. I have to beg people. No, just kidding. I don't beg people. Would you please stand? You don't have to say anything. Just stand there. I don't have to beg anybody, but I just have to make sure we have them covered. And I appreciate everybody who said yes for these things. I like this blessing on 263, a blessing for menschlichkeit. Can you say menschlichkeit? You know what menschlichkeit is, right? So a mensch is a decent human being. And so this is a blessing for decent human beings to be around. We could say this together. May the one who showered blessings on our ancestors rain blessings on those among us whose everyday deeds are without measure, all who honor parents and elders with love and respect, patience and sensitivity, all who give care to loved ones who are ill, and those who accompany the dying, all who bring their warmth and hope to those who are confined, isolated, feeling despair, all who say prayers for loved ones and friends, and those whose faith inspires others to pray, all who go to Shiva Minyanim, console the bereaved, and stay to listen, all who reach out to the widowed, the divorced, the jobless, all who welcome guests to Shabbat and holiday tables, and those who share their bread with the hungry, all who donate to causes that lift up the fallen, heal the sick, and heal the home we share, this earth, all who notice others, greet newcomers, extend a hand to those with special needs, and all who open doors to the future by caring for children, keeping them safe, teaching them trust, helping them cultivate lives of meaning and purpose. On this day of atonement, may they be inscribed for their worthy deeds. May they be sealed for their acts of goodness and kindness. And let us say, Amen. Okay, I think we covered all the ones we were supposed to cover. I now need to call up my Torah lifter, my Torah dressers, and my Haftarah readers and blessers. We are turning to page 274. When we're ready to lift this Torah, we will be singing that song and pointing at our Torah. Leave that there. You ready, Liam? Go for it. It's not you yet. Afternoon. Nice. Zot HaTorah asher sam Moshe lifnei bnei Yisrael al pi Adonai b'yad Moshe. While we are dressing, you may be seated. We will be hearing the Haftarah. The blessing before the Haftarah is on page 275. Who's doing the blessing? You're doing the blessing. Go, 275.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bahar b'nevi'im tovim v'ratzah v'divreihem hane'emarim be'emet.
Who's reading?
Me.
Thanks.
Okay, we're on page 277. Cry from the depths, says God. Do not hold back. Lift up your voice like the shofar. Tell my people their transgression and the house of Jacob their sin. Yes, they seek me daily, as though eager to learn my ways, as if they were a nation that does what is right and has not abandoned God's law. They ask me the right way, eager for God's nearness. They say, why did we fast and you do not see it? We afflict ourselves and you do not know it. Because even on your fast day, you think only of desire, while oppressing all who work for you. Because your fasting is filled with strife, and with callous fist you strike. No, your fasting this day will not lift up your voice before heaven. Is this the fast I desire, a day to afflict body and soul, bowing your head like a reed, covering yourself with sackcloth and ashes? Do you call this a fast, a day worthy of the favor of Adonai? It is not the fast I desire, to break the bonds of injustice and remove the heavy yoke, to let the oppressed go free and release all those enslaved. It is not to share your bread with the hungry and to take the homeless poor into your home and never to neglect your own flesh and blood. Then shall your light burst forth like the dawn, and your wounds shall quickly heal, your righteous one leading the way before you, the presence of Adonai guarding you from behind. Then when you call, Adonai will answer, and when you cry, will respond, I am here. If you remove the chains of oppression, the menacing hand, the malicious word, if you offer your compassion to the hungry and satisfy the suffering, then shall your light shine through the darkness and your night become bright as noon. Adonai will guide you always, slake your thirst in parched places, give strength to your bones. You shall be like a well-watered garden, an unfailing spring. From you they will rebuild ancient ruins, lay foundations for ages to come, and you shall be called the one who mends the breach and brings back the streets for dwelling. If you cease to trample Shabbat, stop pursuing your affairs on my holy day. If you call Shabbat a delight, the holy day of Adonai honored, and if you honor God by not doing business or speaking of everyday matters, then shall you take pure delight in Adonai. I will lift up your journey on earth to the highest of places and nourish you from the heritage of your father Jacob. For thus spoke Adonai.
We continue on page 281.
Blessed are you, our God eternal, supreme power of the universe, rock of all ages, source of justice in all generations, God in whom faithfulness abides, whose word is deed, whose every utterance bespeaks truth and righteousness. Our God eternal, for all of these gifts we thank you and bless you. Torah, worship, the books of the prophets, and this day of atonement given to us for the sake of pardon and forgiveness, that we might make amends with honor and dignity. Let all life bless your name continually to the end of time, so that your truth will endure forever. Blessed are you, Adonai, sovereign, who forgives our failings and pardons the failings of your people, the house of Israel. You banish our guilt from year to year. You reign in majesty all over the earth. You sanctify the people Israel and the day of atonement.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We continue on page 290. We get ready to return the Torah to the ark. Who are my ark openers for this one? Morning. Mitch and Tammy, thank you. A precious teaching I have given you, my Torah. Do not forsake it. It is a tree of life to those who hold it fast. All who embrace it know happiness. Its ways are ways of pleasantness, and all its paths are peace. Take us back, Adonai. Let us come back to you. Renew in our time the days of old. I think we skipped something, didn't we? Yes, we did. We are continuing on page 290 with the song in the middle of the page. Renew in our time the days of old. You're close. If you want, you can touch and kiss the Torah. When the ark is closed, you may be seated. I'm trying to carry a heavy book and a Torah at the same time. That's not so easy. See what Mitch is doing? He's cool. He's got this tech thing where he's got the whole prayer book on his phone. You thought he was checking scores. There are no scores for today. He was reading the prayer book. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, well, that's true too. The English is here also. It's true. Man, I have a lot to apologize for. Actually, I'm supposed to say When the ark is closed, please stay standing. This is a standing confession now. We're on page 292. Did I say sit? I kind of go into autopilot mode when the ark is closed. But on Yom Kippur, a lot of the times when the ark is closed, we stay standing. I'm on page 292. We can say this together, please. We stand in humility, conscious of our failings. Shema Kolenu, Adonai, hear our call. True sacrifice to God is a penitent spirit. Your treasure a crushed and repentant heart. For you are close to the brokenhearted, and you give strength to a suffering soul. You are the healer of shattered hearts. You are the one who binds up their wounds. For thus says the high and exalted one, who lives forever, whose name is holy. I dwell in a high and holy place, but also with the downcast and lowly, to bring new life to despondent souls, to restore and revive repentant hearts. Return now, Israel, to Adonai our God, for you have fallen because of your sin. Take words with you and return to God. Ask the Eternal. Forgive what is wrong. Accept what is good. We stand in humility, conscious of our failings. We set before you the wrongs we have done. We trust in your compassion, for you know who we are. Shema Kolenu, Adonai, hear our call. Shema Kolenu, Adonai Eloheinu, chus v'rachem aleinu. Hear our call, Adonai our God. Show us compassion. Accept our prayer with love and goodwill. Please join me. Take us back, Adonai. Let us come back to you. You renew our days as in the past. Hear our words, Adonai. Understand our unspoken thoughts. May the speech of your mouth and our heart's quiet prayer be acceptable to you, Adonai, our rock and our Redeemer. Do not cast us away from your presence or cut us off from your Holy Spirit. Do not cast us away when we are old. As our strength diminishes, do not forsake us. Do not forsake us, Adonai. Be not far from us, our God. With hope, Adonai, we await you. Surely you, Adonai, our God, you will answer. Our God and God of all generations, may our prayers reach your presence. And when we turn to you, do not be indifferent. Adonai, we are arrogant and stubborn, claiming to be blameless and free of sin. In truth, we have stumbled and strayed. We have done wrong. Hashamnu, bagadnu, gazalnu, dibarnu dofi, hevinu, vehirshanu, zadnu, chamasnu, tafalnu shaker. Yatznu ra, kizavnu, latznu, maradnu, niatznu, sarnu, avinu, pashanu, tsararnu, kishinu oref. Rashanu, Shichatnu, Tiavnu, Tainu, Titanu. Of these wrongs we are guilty. We betray, we steal, we scorn, we act perversely. We are cruel, we scheme, we are violent, we slander, we devise evil, we lie, we ridicule, we disobey, we abuse, we defy, we corrupt, we commit crimes, we are hostile, we are stubborn, we are immoral, we kill, we spoil, we go astray, we lead others astray. You may be seated. I will read on, 299. For the sin we committed against you through evading and avoiding, because we could not face the truth. For our flight into hypocrisy and deception, because we did not dare to speak it. For the facts we dissembled, and all we glossed over. for the excuses we made. Let's do this responsibly. You take the next one. For feeding our bodies and starving our souls, for interfering with the souls of others and neglecting their needs, for shifting our responsibilities, for reproaches and recriminations, for our foolishness, our folly and false standards, for seeing these things only in others, never in ourselves, for our complacency, which blinds us, and our self-righteousness, which lessens us, for calculating kindness and measuring out pity, for charity that is cold and prayers without feeling, for withholding our love, for the appeals that we ignored and the people whom we refused, for the affection which died and our lives that became bitter, for the visions which faded, the ideals we neglected, and the opportunities we lost, for the fear of change and renewal and our unbelief, for saying prayers aloud but refusing to listen, for being our own worst enemy. על חטא שחטאנו לפניך באונס וברצון, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך ביודעים ובלא יודעים. The ways we have wronged you under duress and by choice, and harm we've caused in your world consciously and unconsciously. על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בבלי דעת, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בריצת רגליים להרע. The ways we have wronged you through our thoughtlessness, and harm we've caused in your world through impulsive acts of malice. על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בחוזק יד, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בזלזול הורים ומורים. The ways we have wronged you by abusing our power, and harm we've caused in your world through disrespect to parents and teachers. על חטא שחטאנו לפניך ביצר הרע, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בקשיות עורף. The ways we've wronged you by giving in to hostile impulses, and harm we've caused in your world through inflexibility and stubbornness. על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בחשש ובכזב, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בקלות ראש. The ways we've wronged you through lies and deceit, and harm we have caused in your world by making light of serious matters. על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בשיח שפתנו, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בצרות עין. Ways we've wronged you in our routine conversations, and harm we've caused in your world through envy. ועל כולם אלוהה סליחות, סלח לנו, מחל לנו, כפר לנו. For all these failures of judgment and will, God of forgiveness, forgive us, pardon us. על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בגלוי ובסתר, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בשנאת חינם. Openly and secretly, and harm we've caused in your world by hating without cause. על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בפריקת עול, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך במאכל ובמשתה. And harm we've caused in your world through consumption of food and drink. על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בגילוי עריות, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך באימוץ הלב. The ways we've wronged you through sexual immorality, and harm we've caused in your world by hardening our hearts. על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בנשך ובמרבית, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך במשא ובמתן. The ways we've wronged you through greed and exploitation, and harm we've caused in your world through dishonesty in business. על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בהרהור הלב, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך ברכילות. The ways we've wronged you through our innermost thoughts, and harm we have caused in your world through gossip and rumor. על חטא שחטאנו לפניך בכפת שוחד, ועל חטא שחטאנו לפניך בחילול השם. The ways we have wronged you by offering or accepting bribes, and harm we have caused in your world by profaning your name in public. ועל כולם אלוה סליחות, סלח לנו, מחל לנו, כפר לנו. For all these failures of judgment and will, God of forgiveness, forgive us, pardon us, lead us to atonement. do personal reflections between here and page 316. These are personal confessions that you say. If you would rather use your own words, you're welcome to, but there's a lot of really inspirational things here. And then we join together again on page 317. While you're still praying, I'd like to sing what's on page 310. Ki anu amecha ve'ata Eloheinu. We are your people, and you are our God. Anu vanecha ve'ata avinu. We are your children, and you are our father, our mother. Anu avadecha ve'ata adonenu. We are the people who serve you, and you call us to serve. Anu kehalecha ve'ata chelkeinu. We are your community, and you are our portion. Anu nachlatecha ve'ata goralenu. We are your legacy, and you are our purpose. Anu tzonecha ve'ata ro'enu. We are your flock, and you are our shepherd. Anu charmecha ve'ata notrenu. We are your vineyard, and you watch over us. Anu fe'ulatecha ve'ata yotzrenu. We are your work, and you are our maker. Anu rayatecha ve'ata dodenu. You are your beloved, you are our lover. Anu sigulatecha ve'ata krovenu. We are your treasure, and you are the one we cherish. Anu amecha ve'ata malkeinu. We are your people, and you reign over us. Anu mamirecha ve'ata mamirenu. We offer you our words, and offer us yours. Pardon us, lead us to atonement. The top of page 317. Shema kolenu Adonai Eloheinu, Shema kolenu, hear our call, Adonai Eloheinu, and may we hear yours, in our apologies and confessions, in the meditations of our heart, in the accountings of our soul. Hear our call, and may we hear yours in words of counsel and consolation, in the silence of one who listens, in the strength of a hand that upholds. Hear our call, Adonai Eloheinu, as we strive to hear yours, on this day of the heart, this day of repair and healing. At the bottom of that page, I wanted to share something unusual with you. I'm going to call this the atheist's prayer. And I'm going to say that part of what I love about being Jewish is that we get to have these kinds of conversations, these kinds of prayers. I don't have to do it in Hebrew, I'll just do it in English for this one. I know, I am certain I've already proven to myself 1,001 times that you do not exist, that you are nothingness, that you are without, that you are a thread hung over the abyss. What disturbs and annoys me and embarrasses me time and time again is the mystery of the necessity I feel to inform you of this every day and to share with you my personal conclusions. Some people are always shocked that in Jewish tradition, it's really not only okay, but it's kind of encouraged to argue with God. And it's okay if you say, God, this is ridiculous. I don't even believe in you. Why are you doing this to me? Because, anyway, I just thought I would share that one with you. That one made me smile, because I do feel that there are times when we challenge, when horrible things happen in our world, when things like the fires that have devastated and taken so many lives this year, in the past few years, and the hurricanes and the wind-based and the water-based things that have devastated so many places this year, and the wars this year, and the hunger and the illness. And when we see all of those things, I hope that each of you wonder about God and get angry about God and talk to God and say, why are you doing this? And I hope that you're listening, because there's an answer in this still small voice that comes to you. There are answers. There are things that we can do. There are ways to give us hope and keep going when you listen. But I hope that you're arguing with God every day. On page 318, this, by the way, is the end of your service. I don't know if you noticed. This is our closing prayer. You may rise for this one if you'd like, because we're blessing each other here. Infinite source of goodness, help us see the good in ourselves, in others, and in the world around us. Teach us to cultivate a discerning mind, to know right from wrong, and a listening heart, open to love and forgiveness. Guide us to walk in your ways with integrity, ever faithful to the promises our forebears made. And may your goodness inspire us to do what is just and right. We're going to do this in Hebrew and in English responsively. Help us bless each other. Hayom ta'amsenu, strengthen us this day. Amen. Hayom tivarchenu, bless us this day. Amen. Hayom tigadlenu, this day exalt us. Amen. Hayom tidrishenu letovah, show us kindness this day. Hayom tichtevenu lechayim tovim, inscribe us this day for a life of goodness. Amen. Hayom tishma shavatenu, this day hear our cry. Amen. Hayom titmachenu bimin utzidchecha, now and always support us with the strength of your righteousness. Amen. We meet back again at 1:15. I want you to bless each other right now. Yevarecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you. May God protect you. Yair Adonai panav elecha v'choneka. May the light of God's face shine upon you, be gracious to you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God's face be lifted up to you. May God grant you peace. May you be inscribed and sealed for a wonderful year. Thank you for being part of this today. Appreciate you. We'll see you in a little bit. Remember to bring your books back to the ushers, please. They love you for it.